Hi everyone, this is Mix from PH, and today we have the full performance review on the Xtep JLIN2. Before we get started, if you do like the video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Then if you have any comments, questions, or any suggestions for future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below as well. Then I'll also be leaving a link to the SNBPH Sneaker Hunters Facebook group in the description box, so I do hope you can join us over there because that is a place where we talk about sneakers and basketball quite a bit, and it's also where we have the SNBPH Steel Cabinet where I, as well as most of our members, put up some shoes that they no longer use and put them up for bidding at way below market value. Then if you haven't already, please do make sure to sub to the channel because it really does help us out quite a lot. So with that being said, after a couple of weeks of testing, we have the full performance review on the Xtep JLIN2. Once again, just a big thank you to Xtep for sending these to us, and like I said in the unboxing, we do have a discount code for 10% off, and you can apply this on the Xtep global website. Like I said, Xtep did send these over, but as I said in my previous video, I won't be pulling any punches, and I will be giving my honest and objective review on the shoe. After spending quite a bit of time on the court with this shoe, I do have a lot of things that I really enjoyed, but there are some drawbacks to the shoe as well, which we'll get into in a bit. I do feel like they are headed in the right direction though, because for the most part, I think that the issues on this shoe are easily fixable, so maybe they can improve on these things in the next iteration of the Jeremy Lin signature shoe. So to get into what the JLIN2 does well and what it doesn't, and if it's the right shoe for you, let's start off with traction. The traction on the JLIN2 does make use of a translucent rubber outsole with some embossed and debossed X's. In my initial review, I did say that when I was trying them out here at home, it would stick really hard, but it also seemed like it picked up quite a bit of dust, and throughout my testing over the past couple of weeks, those things definitely held through. The bite on the traction is just amazing. I mean, you're really not going to slip out, especially on a clean court. But on the flip side, since the translucent outsole is so tacky, it also does attract quite a bit of dust, and it's a little bit hard to wipe off. The positive thing about the traction though is that even if it seems quite a bit clogged up with dust, you're not gonna slide or slip out at all, and you'll still be sticking to the court pretty well. I did use these quite a bit over the span of 2 to 3 weeks, and I don't have any fraying at all on the outsole, which is definitely what I would expect from a Chinese brand. Chinese branded shoes normally have very durable outsoles, and this is no exception. So if you're a person who not only plays indoors but also plays outdoors on the blacktop, this is definitely an option that will grip pretty well outdoors and will last a pretty long time as well. So overall for the traction, I really enjoyed how well these grip the court, with the only minor downside being that it is a bit of a dust magnet. So overall for the traction on the JLIN2, I'm gonna have to give it an A. Then moving on to the cushion, the JLIN2 does have a dual density cushion setup with an EVA carrier that you can see on the lateral side, and on the medial side you can see the proprietary cushion called Xtep Boom. Even from my initial review when I just tried them on here at home, I did find the cushion really comfy, and it was also surprisingly bouncy for a foam cushion. Throughout my time using these, the cushion just never let me down because it does have quite a bit of impact protection, some nice plushness, and some impressive bounce back. It does have a pretty similar consistency to Boost when you start pressing it here on the side, and if I were to describe it to people who mostly wear Nikes or Adidas shoes, it's kinda like a bouncier Boost or a slightly more bouncy and more dense Cushlon. And speaking of how it feels like a more dense Cushlon, it's a pretty heavy midsole, and that's pretty much the only downside or nitpick I have with the cushion. So I didn't really feel that it was as quick and responsive as it could be as a cushion, but I did eventually get used to it, and it also improved a little bit with some break-in time. Overall though, it's a super comfortable cushion setup, but I wouldn't really recommend this if you are a super shifty guard because you might feel a bit of lag from that weight as well as the thickness of the midsole. But if you're the type who wants a lot of impact protection and comfort, then this is probably a really good cushion for you. The cushion is actually comfy enough that I use this like going to my car and going to the gym just because of that plush underfoot comfort. So anyway, with that being said, overall for the cushion, I'm gonna have to give it an A. Then moving on to the materials, this is one of the areas for improvement that I see with this shoe, just because there is quite a bit of fuse all over the shoe. You do have fuse kind of wrapping around the toe, wrapping around the heel, a bit of it here on the midfoot as well, and on the eye stay area. Then for the midfoot and ankle as well as the top of the forefoot, you do have this sort of ripstop material that's pretty similar to those Nike Element 55s or Element 87s. For that ripstop material on the upper though, I am a bit lukewarm on it because as much as I would have wanted it to be a different material, it does get quite a bit soft with some break-in time and ends up moving very well with your foot. Those thick cuts of fuse are definitely the main issue here because on my first day of playing with these on court, I did have quite a bit of chafing and I did have some blisters. And I think it's mostly because I wasn't able to break in that fuse just yet. It did break in after a while and I stopped having those blisters, but it was definitely quite a painful experience breaking these in. Like I said though, the underlay material is pretty comfy and I do like that tongue, so I just really hope in the future iterations of this shoe, they either stay away from the fuse or if they're gonna use fuse, just make it pretty thin and not this thick. So overall for the materials, I'm gonna have to give the Xtep JLIN2 a B. Then moving on to the support, the JLIN2 does have quite a few impressive support features, and even though that abundance of fuse did knock it down a few points for the materials, it actually helps the shoe in terms of the support. For the support features on the shoe, you do have a flat and wide base, as well as a lateral outrigger here at the forefoot. You also have good torsional support with this carbon fiber shank plate, which is pretty much in the shape of an X, and it goes from the middle of the heel to the middle of the forefoot. Then moving on up, you do have this plastic wing here on the lateral side of the forefoot, and this really helps contain your foot on side-to-side movements. To assist in that as well, you do have this thick plastic heel counter, and of course that strong upper made of ripstop and fuse. You also have these nylon cables that go all throughout that not only improve the fit, but also add to the lateral support on the shoe. The only negative in terms of the support is just because of the fit, which we'll get into later, so I'm also gonna have to knock down the overall support score a little bit. It is still a hella supportive shoe though, and if they only got the fit right, I think I could have given it an A+, but in the end for the support, the JLIN2 is gonna have to settle for an A. Then moving on to fit and lockdown, this is definitely one of the weirdest fitting shoes I've ever tried on, because for the most part I am a size 10, I can go down half a size if it fits long, or go up half a size like I do with some Kobe's because they run pretty snug. But for this particular shoe, I had to go with the US 8.5, which is 1.5 sizes below my standard size. And even given the fact that I went down 1.5 sizes, I still had quite a bit of heel slippage and my foot would kind of be shifting in the shoe. I do have a normal width foot though, so I think that if you had a wide foot, you can kind of fill this shoe up and you might actually have a way better experience when it comes to the fit on the shoe. So for the fit on the shoe, if you have a normal width foot, I would recommend going down 1.5 sizes. And then if you had a narrow foot, I think this is definitely too much volume, so you might want to try going down 2 full sizes. And if you have a wide foot as well, I think 1.5 sizes down would work for you. And I think you'll be able to fill up that space nicely. Then for the lockdown, like I said, those nylon cables really help lock you into the midfoot, but I wish they could have put one nylon cable here at the top eyelet that drew you into the heel of the shoe, because like I said, the heel slippage on the shoe is pretty bad. So overall, given that I had to go down 1.5 sizes and it still didn't fit me perfectly, and the fact that there is excess space here at the forefoot and some heel slippage, I'm gonna have to give the fit and lockdown on the Xtep JLIN2 a C+. Then moving on to the overall aesthetics on the shoe, I think this white and blue colorway is really clean. And like I said, I did see some other colorways on their site, like the purple one, which I think are really nice as well. I just think in the overall landscape of the basketball shoes out right now, it has a pretty unique aesthetic that's also really clean, and it doesn't really look exactly the same as any shoe out in the market right now. Like I said, I do end up wearing these not just on the basketball court because of that comfort, but aside from that comfort, I think it also looks clean enough that you can wear it on the way to the court, going to the gym, or maybe even while you're doing a few errands. I think they will be releasing more and more colorways as they go along, and so far given the colorways that they already have, there's a good chance that those will look pretty dope as well. Overall, I just really love that gradient on the plastic wing. I love the splatter paint on the midsole, and I just think in this white and blue colorway, it just looks super clean and crisp. Then for the overall aesthetics, given the fact that I also use these off the court and not just on the court, I'm gonna have to give it an A. Then moving on to the price, the Xtep JLIN2 retails for $140 US, which roughly converts to around 7,100 pesos here in the Philippines. It is pretty much a mid-range basketball signature shoe, so it does kinda end up competing with the likes of the Kyrie 8 and the Harden Volume 5, and it definitely would have been easy to recommend this if only they had gotten the fit and lockdown right. I know I did give these a low score with the materials as well, but you can kinda forgive that because it is pretty supportive and really durable. But for the fit and lockdown, I think that's just the major deal breaker with this shoe, especially if you do have a normal width foot or a narrow foot. If you are a wide footer though, like I said, I think it'll fit you a lot better, and if your particular foot foot does end up fitting well in this shoe, then I think you're really gonna enjoy playing in the JLIN2. The traction, the cushion, and the support are just on point, but it's really just that fit because it's super confusing with the sizing, and in my experience it had a lot of heel slippage that really didn't improve even after I broke it in. So overall, for the price, given the positives and the negatives of the shoe, I'm gonna have to give it a B+. It would have definitely scored higher if the price was a little bit lower, but like I said, we also have a discount code that will give you 10% off. So if you're interested in the shoe, given that nice support, that nice cushion, and that really good traction, you can go over there, get your discount, and get your shoe. So there you have it guys, that was my full performance review on the Xtep JLIN2. Then once again, if you like the video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Then if you haven't already yet, please do make sure to subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon for notifications. Then as always, whether you're looking for that retail win or if you're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Linsanity, just keep on hunting.